Yay! What happened to my shirt? Why does it look orange?
I don't know. It looks super orange.
Yeah, it does. So, for those of you that are watching in Tennessee at the Maxine Smith STEM Academy, this shirt is red.
It is red.
Oh my
Here,
God.
let's see it compared to this orange cloth.
Ah, I know.
I think the color's messed up a little bit.
Well, good morning, Tennessee. How are you this morning?
We're good.
Oh, good.
I miss that.
I do too.
It's been like over a year, but I still miss the like good. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I miss all that stuff. Like, hey, don't sit at the top row.
Yeah.
Right?
Spit that gum out.
Yeah. Hey, don't sit next to anybody that's going to get you in trouble. That's my favorite.
That one is the one that everyone who was my friend was like, pshoo.
Yeah. So wherever you're watching right now, just kick back and relax. That was the kick back and relax moment.
I like that.
Yeah.
Give them a moment to switch gears and
Yeah.
relax, I guess.
Because they were probably all like, oh, good, we're going to get drug and alcohol information
This is going to be so great. I am ready to learn.
And then there's kids with their notes. Oh, no, they don't take paper and pencil anymore, huh?
Kids with their notes, yeah.
Well, in case you are taking notes, my name is Ray Lozano.
And I'm Brooke Romero, his daughter.
Yay! So underline that, his daughter. So, yeah, and so we are a father-daughter team that are able to talk about drugs and alcohol. And, yeah, I love doing this.
Yeah, me too. And today we're specifically talking about alcohol,
Yep.
which is fun.
Yeah, and so the people I want to start off by thanking right at the very top are the Elks, because the Elks are the ones that are providing the funding for this. So they had to do a lot of stuff all across the United States, and we just had this big meeting not too long ago, and they're talking about how we want to keep getting great information to kids. They have great, websites, they have great activities, all this stuff for kids. And they said, we want to continue to get drug and alcohol information out there, and we're willing to put some money behind it.
Yeah, and so not only are they the ones who are providing the funds for this presentation, but they're also providing the fun.
Yay, I love that. I wish I had those shake things. But, yeah.
Macarenas?
Whatever.
What are they called? Maracas.
Maracas. I think the Macarena is like...
Yeah. Do the Macarena with some maracas.
In Morocco.
But the Elks are providing that kind of Macarena fun for you guys. And one of the ways that they're doing that is through the elksteenzone.org. So if you're watching this on a monitor right now, there is an offer up that will pop up on the screen for elksteenzone.org. And on that website, there's a bunch of great information, super easy to understand information, and a lot of great resources for teachers.
Now, if I were a kid right now, I'd be going, I bet that website's boring. Is it boring?
No, it's not. Because, sorry, I wasn't ready for that question.
I know. I thought I'd really take a detour down a different road.
But no, it's not. It's really great because there's like a bunch of awesome games. And then what's really cool is for the teachers, they can go and make like a little quiz on the website. And so then your teacher is going to be like, hey, here's this quiz. Surprise, right? But guess where all of the answers to that quiz are?
Right here in the old cranium.
Or on the elksteenzone.org.
Yeah. Now,
in case they didn't make it up there.
Yeah.
So, but no, it's really, really fun.
Yeah.
And super interesting, too.
It is. And what is cool about it, let's say we both decided we wanted to do the crossword puzzle, and I just found this out. So I go to the website from my computer, and you go to the website from your computer, and we can either do it on the website or we can print out the crossword puzzle. And I'll go, what did you get for 3 across? Well, your 3 across is going to be different than my 3 across.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, so they are really like updating stuff. So,
that's cool.
Yeah, and so they're coming up with all these new things, which is really awesome. Because what happens with a lot of organizations, especially, and I know now because I'm getting older, you kind of get stuck doing something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, all right, I want eggs and bacon every morning for breakfast. I'm going to go to bed at 9:30. And I'm going to take these vitamins every single day, and I'm going to do this the rest of my life. You just get stuck in this groove.
Yeah. No, I get that. Like, I'm 24 years old, so I'm not very old, but I'm older than a lot of the people watching this, I think. And it's like, I'm going to wear skinny jeans the rest of my life.
Yeah.
That's just it.
Yeah.
You know, that is what I'm going to wear. I'm not going to get into, like, the mom jean trend. You know, I'm probably never going to have a pair of Doc Martens.
Right.
Like, I'm just going to wear skinny jeans the rest of my life, probably.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that is so true. And Because when I was in high school, I thought I'm going to rock and roll all day and party all night.
Every night?
Every night, yeah. So the Elks said, hey, you know what? Let's do things different. So they did a completely different website, which is really cool, elksteenzone.org. Make sure you go there. But also this drug and alcohol information.
Right.
They said, let's do it different. Because back in my day, and I got to figure out a different way to say that because it makes me feel and sound so old, and I don't want to be that guy, But back in my day, it was like real scare tactics. Like they brought us into a gym, they turned the lights off, everybody screamed. And the next thing you know, we're watching a video of like car accidents of people that were definitely not going to go home that night and potentially could be going home either in a wheelchair, arm bandage, or a limb lost. And
Whoa.
So, yeah, isn't that crazy?
Like actors recreating things that had happened?
You know what? Now that I think about it, no, they were not actors. It's like the police had their meeting. You know how they had that meeting in every movie where, like Zootopia? Yeah. And as they're walking out the door, the chief's like, oh, dang it, I forgot. And like, hey, Mahoney, see this camera? Oh, it's the 80s. See this camera?
See this camera?
Yeah. When you get out there, videotape some stuff so we can show kids.
Jeez.
Yeah. And
that's insane.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Wow. Well, when in my day, it wasn't scary stuff like that, and they definitely did not show us any videos like that.
Right.
But they did tell us really sad stories. So they would tell us stories of, like, kids who went to parties and drank too much and died and didn't make it home. And then they would describe, like, their families missing them and their friends are missing them. And then they would describe, like, their dog sitting at home, like, not understanding why they're not coming back, And that's the part that would get everyone crying, because you're like, he doesn't speak English, no one can explain it to him, Like, he doesn't have, like, you've seen those TikTok things where it's like the dog pushes that button and talks, and it's like, never mind, I was gonna act out how they would communicate that the kid had died to the dog, and I thought, too sad. Yeah,
too sad, yeah. Because they get you with the dog.
Yeah.
Like, what's that one movie where the guy kills the dog? Zombie movie, Will Smith.
I Am Legend?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
God,
right?
I'm old. Yeah.
Because it's like the entire population is like zombies.
Zombies.
Right? And you know that those people didn't turn into zombies overnight.
No.
You know that they watched their family members turn into zombies, and you're like, And then you're like, well, Will Smith is all alone. He's separated from his wife and daughter. He's going crazy from isolation. But as soon as the dog, like, runs into that dark room, you're like, no!
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then when he has to strangle the dog, you're, like, really sad.
Yeah!
Because I know there's got to be a point where mom's holding the baby and the baby's like, and she's like, I'm not going to feed him anymore. Right?
Right, like that had to happen. Yeah. And with that, you're like, the graphics on that aren't so good. Oh, that's CGI.
And again, off track. But anyway.
A lot of this is not scripted.
Yeah.
But the Elks said, we want to update things. We want to keep things moving, because the old scare tactics and making people sad, making people feel, upset or things like that, they didn't work. It was a good try. We, thought that maybe that's how things were going to work, but they didn't quite work. So the Elks said, what works? And what we found has worked is good information that's just solid information based on facts, not judgmental in any way, and laughter. If you can just get students, kind of laughing, then, Yeah,
we'll be doing good. So, all right, we got about 40 minutes left, so we're going to jump into information real quick, or about 35 minutes left. And so, we're talking about alcohol today. So, students, let's say I had a can of beer in my hand, okay, and I pop it open.
Well,
yeah, sorry.
Some of it's spraying on me.
And I drink it down. How long do you think it takes for all of that alcohol to go from my mouth all the way down my esophagus, hit my stomach, float around in my stomach there for a minute, then go into my large and small intestine, penetrate the lining of that, go into the bloodstream, and finally hit my brain? Now, that's quite the little journey that it has to make. And so that would be like going from Tennessee to Dallas, Texas.
Well, let's see. If you were to do that on a bus, it would probably take 3 days.
Yeah, right? Yeah, with all the stops.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first answer we always get from students is 24 hours. And that makes complete sense because 24 hours is how long alcohol stays in your system doing something, and then 25 hours it starts to diminish. So 24 is how long it stays in your system. Kids then say 12 because they cut it in half, way too long. Then they cut it in half again, they say 6, and then they say 2, and then they say 1, and there's that one kid right now who's probably saying 0 amount of time.
Instantly.
Yeah, that's only if you pour it in your ear, it goes straight to your brain. Don't do that. This is a disclaimer. Do not do that. And so all it takes for alcohol to go from your mouth to your stomach to your brain is 30 seconds.
Whoa.
About as long as it took for me to do this whole explanation right here is how long it takes for alcohol to go from your mouth to your brain. So 30 seconds.
Whoa, that's crazy. Now, when alcohol hits your brain goes, whoa, this is a poison. I gotta get this out of the system. So what happens is it changes the way that your body's functioning, and it does 3 different things in order to try to keep you alive.
Right.
So number 1, or it's gonna do 3 different things. Lucky us, they all begin with the same letter. And that letter is...
Triangle.
Almost.
I was
P.
trying to think of something weird to say. P.
P. So if somebody's drinking really hard, their body's like, whoa, I gotta get this out. I gotta process all of this. So they will start to pee.
Nice.
Then if they drink way too much, then they could puke. Because the body's like, I gotta get this out of here. What is the quickest, fastest, easiest way? I will puke it out.
Nice.
Then if somebody drinks way too much, they could potentially pass out.
Kids always say poop right there.
Yeah, they sure do,
Which would be really weird.
That would be so weird.
I was going to do an act out, but I thought, better not.
But peeing, puking, and passing out, these are 3 things that are, kind of funny to talk about. But they are 3 different ways for your body to try to keep you alive. So let's say it's a Friday night. Somebody is drinking super hard, right?
Glug.
Saturday morning, they wake up. Light is too bright.
Turn the light off, Mildred.
Sound is too loud.
Harriet, too loud.
They have this crazy whole head headache.
I name you Tyler.
They can't make a decision. All their muscles are sore. Their mouth tastes terrible. It tastes like they found a dirty diaper on the side of the road and tried to eat it.
Oh my gosh, that is like a totally gross analogy. Yeah, eating a dirty diaper. Because my brain, whenever you say stuff like that, like acts it out, and I just see like a couple driving, boy, nice Sunday drive, huh? Yeah. Saturday morning drive. Oh, what was that on the side of the road? A diaper? Oh yeah, you've got to put one hand like this. And
That's the old car. So then they roll down the window like, and it's like kind of stiff sometimes,
Yeah, because nowadays it would be like Tesla, stop and reverse.
Tesla, pick up that dirty diaper. I'll tell you what's gross though. Like that thing's been on the ground.
Yeah, right.
You don't know.
Just wipe it off. 10-second rule. Yeah.
But what is that terrible feeling called?
Tequila.
No. It is called a hangover.
Oh, yeah.
The reason why somebody gets a hangover when they drink is because their body has peed out all of that alcohol trying to process it.
Right.
But in order to get that alcohol out, it's needed to use a lot of water.
Wow.
So their body has actually pulled water from other parts of the system. So it's pulled water from their muscles. It's pulled water from their mouth. One of the places it's pulled water from is around the brain.
Wow.
And so what happens is you have this thin layer of water in between your brain and your skull, and it keeps your brain from kind of bumping around in there. And so when that water gets peed out, what happens is the brain actually shrinks a tiny bit, pulls away from the inside of the skull, and that's why you get a crazy whole head headache. So that's why hangovers happen.
Oh man, that's crazy. That makes sense. And to think that your brain is shrinking a little bit, I bet that's part of why it's hard to make a decision.
Yeah, definitely. So pretty gross.
A little sidetrack thing I was looking at yesterday and reading some information on a study that they did when people crossfade, when they drink alcohol and they smoke weed at the same time. And they said marijuana excels the alcohol. And so if you had like 2 shots of tequila and you smoked weed, which is terrible, the thing that happens is it almost acts like 4 shots of tequila.
Whoa.
Which is really bad. Now, for kids, that would even be worse. And so what would happen in that situation is alcohol poisoning, they're finding out, can happen faster if a youth drinks alcohol and smokes weed at the same time.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Then they'll end up having to explain some stuff to a dog, I guess.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Second part is puking. Now, once somebody starts to puke out alcohol, basically what the brain is saying, it's saying, I've watched all this alcohol come in. There's way too much. That liver down there cannot process this fast enough. I got to get rid of some of this. And then the brain starts to figure out what is the quickest, fastest, easiest way for me to get this out of the body. And the brain thinks to itself, does that happen? Does the brain think to itself?
You know what? Tangent. I was reading this thing about your inner monologue, where like the inner voice in your head, right? And some people have like an inner monologue where it's just one person, right? Where it's like, I'm going to go, blah, blah, blah. Some people have inner monologues where it's like two people discussing. And that's how I feel like it is for me. Like sometimes I'll be like, I'm kind of hungry. Are you really hungry though?
Oh gosh.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, what do you want? You know?
Yeah.
So I think for some people, the brain does think to itself.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so the brain's like, boy, there's a lot of alcohol in here. What do you think we should do? I don't know. We need to get rid of it. What's the fastest way? Well, what did we do with that Chinese food a couple days ago?
Ew.
You know, the one that was bad. We threw it up. Let's try that with alcohol. Reverse. Yeah, right? And so, yeah, puking is the way for the brain to say, man, I got to get a lot of this out of here super fast.
Yeah.
So people will puke it out. Now, the crazy part is not only does it bring out the alcohol, but anything else you have in your stomach is going to come out with that alcohol.
Right.
And when I worked at the hospital, I discovered the very worst food a human being can puke out along with alcohol, because we had a 19-year-old kid with a back injury come in strapped to a backboard, and he started screaming, I'm going to puke. And the more he talked, the more alcohol you could smell in this emergency room. So he's strapped to this backboard, and the nurses and the doctors are like, don't worry about it, man. We'll take care of you, because you don't want to puke laying on your back because you're going to choke, or, you know, and it's just weird being strapped because normally, like, you're holding onto the toilet.
Yeah.
They literally slid this backboard up to the edge of the bed. So you picture laying flat on the bed. They slid it up to the edge of the bed, locked it in these hooks real quick, and then they tilted it up.
Whoa.
But what's crazy is they didn't tilt it up like this way, like the way you'd want to throw up over a garbage can, right?
Yeah.
They tilted it up sideways.
Whoa.
Like this. Yeah. So when I looked at the kid this way, all I saw was like the bottom of his feet, and then like down his body and his poor little mouth, like.
Oh man.
You know, yeah. And then, you know, there's that moment before you throw up where you contemplate every decision you've ever made, as, you know, all the way back to like, maybe I shouldn't have, you know, taken that toy when I was 4, you know. And so he starts crying. He does that, and the doctor's like, puke, man. He's like, I don't want to puke. The doctor goes, why? And by this time they slid a huge garbage can underneath him. He goes, because I've been eating. Blah. So the very worst food to vomit out of your mouth and nose and little tear ducts, you know, you can just see it coming out, huh?
Yeah.
Flaming hot Cheetos. This kid starts vomiting up flaming hot Cheetos, alcohol. He's crying. They burn coming out. You know, I mean, it's just like, he's like a fire hose of alcohol and flaming hot Cheetos. And I'm just watching this like, whoa, this is like the 3rd time I've seen this in my life, you know?
Yeah.
And I thought, man, I wish I had my phone, because I would like videotape the whole thing, you know? Stick it up on YouTube, and I'd run it backwards, because it'd be a great video, or a TikTok video.
Yeah. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yeah. Don't get suspicious. And I'd call it Taste the Rainbow.
Yeah. But when
crazy.
somebody is puking out alcohol, this is basically the body saying there's too much poison in the system.
Right.
I need to protect this body. Now, what happens is if somebody continues to drink, the brain says, I cannot process this alcohol fast enough. I can't even puke this out fast enough. What is the only way I'm going to keep this bag of meat, bones, and electricity alive?
Right.
I have got to stop alcohol from coming in.
Stop it.
I will click the off switch and pass out.
Oh, so that's like a life-saving device.
Yeah, exactly. It's your body basically like, if we don't stop drinking, we could potentially die, you know?
Right.
And so it really is to save your life. But what's crazy is that passing out is different from falling asleep. So let's say somebody you live with who's over the age of 21 has like a super hard day at work, right?
I'm a cake decorator.
Right. Which is an exhausting job.
Yeah.
And so they have a super hard day at work, whatever they do. They come home, they are tired. And so they decide to pop open a can of beer
Right.
or have a glass of wine or a bottle of beer or something.
Mhm.
Just a couple drinks.
Right.
They sit down, they are drinking their glass of wine, they're watching whatever TV show older people like to watch. Chips, maybe.
Chips, man, that's way old. Yeah. Something more modern. I'm gonna say like chips. What else is more modern?
Golden Girls.
Yeah, I think you went back further. Yeah.
I Love Lucy.
The Facts of Life.
Oh, yeah, because you take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have.
Yeah. Knight Rider. You're watching Knight Rider.
So anyway, they have their one drink, they're watching Knight Rider, before you know it, they are riding into the night.
Nice.
And they're asleep on the couch. Now some people could look at that and be like, oh, they've passed out, but they haven't. If somebody who is asleep has to pee or puke, they will wake up. They'll be able to go to the bathroom, pee, puke, do whatever they have to do.
Mhm.
If somebody drinks so much alcohol that they pass out from alcohol and they have to pee or puke, they will not wake up. And this is where stuff can start to get really, really dangerous or potentially really embarrassing.
Right. I think it's called a party foul, right? When you...
Yeah. I don't know if that extends all the way to peeing on yourself at a party.
Yeah. That's a party fumble. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's a party destroyer.
Yeah, that's the worst way to end a party. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But the information we're going to give to you guys is based on this right here.
It's based on a male guy, 200 pounds, 21 years old, non-drinker. And so basically, male or female, and it's not, just...
It's not gender identity at all.
Yeah, it's just what your body's, how it's designed. 200 pounds. Now, each one of these makes a difference. So if you are a 16-year-old kid and you go, well, I'm a male, check. I weigh 130 pounds. That's going to be a huge check against you.
Uh-huh.
And I'm 14 years old. That's another huge check. Because those two right there in the middle are a big difference.
Right.
And especially the 21-year-old. So if you're under the age of 21, you can become an alcoholic a lot quicker. And here's the reason why, because of your brain and how it's designed. Now, this is my own version of a drawing of a brain.
It is amazing.
Thank you.
I gotta say, I could just picture it in like a biology textbook.
Yeah.
And people are like, not only is this an amazing drawing of the brain that clearly demonstrates every single part of the brain,
Yes.
but it is a work of art and
Yeah.
it belongs in a museum.
Oh, gosh. The Museum of Brains.
Yeah, not to be confused with the Museum of Brian.
That's a whole different museum. Unless it's Brian's brain.
Oh!
And so, it's just empty, like it is right there. And so, where is the oblongata medulla? I forget what it's called.
Almost.
Yeah.
Medulla oblongata.
Ah,
Yeah.
dang it. Yeah, my brain switched around. So, okay, back on track. And so this is the very first part of your brain right here that gets affected whenever you drink alcohol. Now, youth that are watching this right now, under the age of 21, that part of your brain isn't working. You would bet $1 million that it is. You would say it totally is, but it is not. Because of how you live your life different than I live my life.
Right.
Dangerous things look great to you guys. And that's why we are real cautious on how we present information. Because if we say something's dangerous, you guys think of it different than an adult. So we're here in my office. Let's say I tell all my staff at a meeting, hey, when you leave 2 blocks down the road, a police officer is going to be hiding underneath that big bush writing tickets. Now, all the adults in the room are going to go, wow, I better slow down in that area. And more than likely, they're going to slow down. But all our interns under the age of 18 are going to be like, I don't know if that's true or not. I better test out this theory.
Right.
Boom, and so... Yeah, so we got to be real cautious how we present drug and alcohol information and not make it look dangerous because that looks fun to you guys, right? Yeah.
Now, nowadays, it kind of gets you guys in trouble that this part of your brain isn't working, because this is where you can kind of do dangerous stuff, try to jump over something you shouldn't jump over. On 4th of July, maybe you held that firework a little bit longer than you should have.
Yes.
All of that kind of stuff is where you can start to get into some dangerous situations. But way back in the day, it was actually super beneficial that part of the brain wasn't functioning for young people.
Thank you.
Because imagine we're all like, a tribe of people. We're all hunter-gatherers, not sure where our next meal's going to come from, sitting around a fire, right? And then somebody runs out of one of the bushes, and they're like, hey, I saw this big, huge thing over there, really sharp teeth, made out of meat, covered with fur. Who wants to help me go kill it? I got these 10 sharp sticks, you know. What are all the older people of the group going to say?
No gracias. We're just inventing Spanish.
Oh.
No, thank you. Yeah, I'm going to sit right here and make some very good decisions for this tribe.
Exactly, right? What are all the younger people going to say?
Yeah! Let's go!
Get more sticks!
Get that new invention called fire!
It's the latest technology.
You know what? I heard it's ruining kids' eyes.
Yeah, it really ruins their attention span because they just spend all day staring at the fire.
Yeah, you know what? In my day, I could look at a whole log. Now kids can barely watch a twig.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. But
I love that joke.
talking to each other on Twitter. Not funny. That wasn't a funny joke.
That's a dad joke.
Yeah, I know.
It would have worked if I would have said it. Yeah.
But so that part of the brain isn't really working. Now that's the part of the brain that kind of gets you guys in trouble. But you guys were actually the ones that kept us alive as a species. So yeah, thank you guys. But what does that part of the brain do?
That part of the brain does two different things. One, it helps you to predict the future. Future. Let me explain this one, or do you want to explain this one?
Go ahead.
All right, predicting the future. Now, this isn't like lottery numbers or, I think that this is like, we use this every day. And students, you used it to get to class today on time. So if you were on time, that front part of your brain got you there on time, okay? Now, when you drink alcohol, what happens is it starts to slow down that front part of your brain, and you kind of lose this ability to predict the future. You can't tell it's gone. You don't know it's gone. But let me give you a real simple example, okay? Let's say there's this big, huge hill that goes down like this, okay? And I am at the very top of that hill, and I am wearing tennis shoes and a bathing suit, okay? Now, you probably already picture what's going to happen in this. On this side right here, my left side, is my very best friend, okay? On my right side right here is a brand new red Target shopping cart.
Oh.
Brand new, right? Okay. And so I look at my best friend. I'm like, dude, I want to ride down this hill as quickly as I possibly can. My best friend looks at me and says, okay. And I know there's students that are watching like, oh yeah, I've done that, right?
Yeah.
So me and my tennis shoes and bathing suit, I get in this little shopping cart. My best friend grabs the shopping cart and he goes like this. He goes, 1, get ready, 2, almost there. And then he's like, "Er." You know what? It's my best friend, so it's going to be more like 1, 2, and 3. And he pushes that shopping cart down that hill. I go flying down that hill in that little red shopping cart from Target, and that front wheel's going, going around in a circle. And I'm like, I'm going so fast, man. I look up, I got tears coming out of my eyes. I'm going so fast, I got the wind blowing through the hair of my head, hair of my arms, and and I'm flying down this hill. And when I look up with one eye open, man, I see that there is a garbage truck parked in front of me in the bicycle lane, right? Now, Brooke, if I don't stop my shopping cart, I will
crash.
Right, or die, right? What you did right there is you used the front part of your brain and you predicted the future. Now, the cool part is that helps us to do a lot of things. Like, you ever had something falling out of the cabinet and then, like, you grab it down here? Isn't that cool?
Or have you seen those videos of dads who, like, their baby will be falling and they'll grab it super fast?
Yeah. That's that part of the brain because your brain figures out that baby's going to hit his head. Now, I was watching NHL, the National Hockey League, and the Stanley Cup thing, and this guy goes, man, can you think about all the things that goalie has to be thinking about? Because you have all these people that are bunched up around him, and then they hit the puck, and he blocks it. Think about that frontal lobe working crazy, man. There's just got to be a million things going on right there, right?
Now, for you guys, you might be thinking, hey, well, I answered the rest of that question. I can predict the future sometimes, right? And you can. There is a small part of that frontal lobe that is working for you guys. But what's happening is your brain is trying to figure all of that stuff out, and it's like getting better at predicting those skills. So while there is a small part of that frontal lobe that is working, the vast majority of it is not working yet.
Right.
And here's another big part of the brain, the front part of the brain, that isn't quite working in a lot of young people, and that is something called your inhibitions.
Click it one more time.
Now, this is going to be about 1 to 3 beers within the course of an hour, about an hour and a half to 2 hours, which isn't a crazy amount. Somebody who's had 1 to 3 beers within like 2 hours is probably not going to feel drunk.
Mm-hmm.
They're still going to be able to like carry on a normal conversation and stuff like that. But this kind of stuff is happening right here. So they're losing the ability to predict the future, and then they're going to affect something called inhibitions.
Uh-huh.
Now, what inhibitions are is they're basically things you will or will not do.
Right.
So we've all, had a situation where we've hit our inhibitions. So imagine whatever room you're in right now is the inside of your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, our brain is well decorated.
And thinking about Star Wars a bunch.
A lot, yeah. Right in the middle right here is this big, huge cement wall. Goes all the way up to the ceiling, covered with barbed wire, right? Impassable.
Mm-hmm.
This wall is called inhibitions. Now, every time you hit this wall, you get this feeling, ooh, I don't want to do that.
Right.
Right? You're walking through the store with your friend. Your friend's like, steal a candy bar. But you don't want to. Ooh, you get that feeling. That's you hitting that wall.
Right.
Whenever your friend is like, hey, sneak out of your house tonight. I'm going to pick you up at 2 a.m. and we're going to, go do some young people things. I don't know what young people do. And you get that feeling like, I don't really want to sneak out of my house. That's you hitting that wall. Now, even something like I know I have a younger niece. She's like 12.
Right.
And she's just getting to the point where she will like order her own food in a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
But she gets this feeling like, I don't want to do that.
Right.
Same kind of thing,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So anytime you get that feeling, it doesn't necessarily have to be something, bad,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just something that you're like, I don't want to do that.
Right.
That is inhibitions.
Mm-hmm.
Now what happens is this side over here, everything I love to do,
Yay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Hang out with my friends,
Nice.
watch movies,
Love it.
Go watch a soccer game,
Great.
go on TikTok,
Barbecue.
cook some food. Yeah, everything I love to do on this side.
Love it.
Wall called inhibitions. The other side of the wall, that is all the stuff I told myself I am never going to do those things, right? Make fun of another person, eat at Taco Bell.
Agree.
Punch a puppy. Right? That's that side of the wall. That is the
Not
stuff
the
I'm never
animals.
going to do.
Yeah.
Now what happens is somebody's hanging out over here, everything's great, they're having a good time, they pop open a beer, glug, 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 drink it down, that wall comes down just a tiny bit. They pop open another beer, drink it down, that wall comes down a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. By the time somebody over the age of 21, whose brain and body are fully developed, is working on about 3 beers within the course of about an hour and a half,
Mm-hmm.
that wall is almost all the way down to the ground. It's easy to step over it and do things you would not normally do, like make fun of another person while eating a Nacho Bel Grande and punching a Chihuahua. Exactly. So what has the lesson of this presentation been?
If you don't want to punch dogs or puppies, don't drink alcohol.
Don't drink alcohol.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
It's that
as simple as
simple.
that. Yeah. But this is where stuff can get dangerous because, like I said, people who have had about 3 beers or 3 glasses of wine or just 3
Yeah.
drinks aren't going to feel drunk.
Yeah.
They're not going to feel, super, super drunk. So they're probably still going to feel like they can do things like drive a car or, talk to people who they have to be serious with.
Right.
When they're going to sound a little bit drunk. And so they're still going to be able to do that kind of stuff that is pretty dangerous when you have lost the ability to predict the future and
Yes.
your inhibitions.
Now the problem is, I've had family members that used to drink quite a bit,
Uh-huh.
and man, after a few beers, they would turn into like a jerk,
Yeah.
and start making fun of people or start saying really unbelievable mean things to people.
Yeah.
And it's that wall, so that wall, like, hey, don't say that about your nephew. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But as soon as that wall's gone, then they feel comfortable saying that kind of stuff. Now, the big question is, what do you think is the very first sign that somebody is intoxicated? Like, what do you think that sign is? And we're going to do about 6 more minutes of information, then we're going to take some of the questions that are coming in.
Mhm.
And so what is the very first sign of somebody being intoxicated?
Usually when we ask this, students will say things like stumbling around,
Mm-hmm. Nope.
slurring their words,
Nope, that's way down the road.
standing up and they feel super dizzy,
Still down the road.
going to grab something and they can't quite grab it.
Ah, no. That's all muscle control stuff. And so the
Oh.
very first sign that somebody's intoxicated is if they're a little bit quiet and they start talking more. So if a person, I'm just going to make up some numbers here. Let's say a person talks like 300 words an hour, or 300 words in a half an hour, and now they're talking like 600 words. What's happening is that wall that says only talk 300 is now gone, and they talk a lot more. Because, man, we've been to Mexican restaurants where the table's kind of quiet and they all have a margarita, and next thing you know, they're all talking super loud and a whole bunch. They're still carrying on a normal conversation,
right?
But the problem is that wall that tells you not to talk. Now, all the stuff you mentioned is this part of the brain right here. This is the muscle control part of the brain. This is where you start to see outward signs of things happening where people are walking funny, people are carrying on a normal conversation, where people are walking funny, or they stand up and they get kind of dizzy, slurring their words, And so the best example I have of this is one time we were driving. This was January 1, the brand new day, the first day of the new year, and we're heading down the freeway, and up ahead, man, there's like some police lights, and when we pass, it's a guy in a suit, or just a jacket, and his tie was loose, and the police officer had him standing here like this. Now, what the police officer's doing is he's checking his muscle control. Because if everybody shut your eyes right now, you could easily touch your nose, touch your ear, touch your eye, touch your mouth, touch your throat, touch your elbow. Oops. No, I'm just kidding. Touch your elbow. I was just joking. Touch your elbow. And so the thing is, you can easily do that. But if I was intoxicated and I went to touch my nose, I may go like this because my muscles are no longer in control. I found out why all that happens, but I don't have time to explain that.
Bummer.
So once the officer is checking this guy, he's seeing if he's still in control of his muscles. And so this guy probably was still intoxicated because of how much he probably drank and how long it lasted inside his system. So muscle control is a big one. Now, the thing about alcohol is alcohol affects every single part of your body. From the bottom of your feet to the top of your head is touched by alcohol, unlike other drugs. And last part, so we can answer some questions.
Last part right here, this is where people start to pass out. Now, like we said, this is where stuff starts to get really dangerous. This is where the brain is saying, whoa, this is way too much in the system. I don't know how we're going to process all of this. The only way I'm going to keep this thing alive is if I pass out. And where passing out can get dangerous is because the person who's passed out is no longer in control of their own body. Now, one of the things that can happen is if they pass out and they throw up, like you said, they won't wake up. If they're laying face down, they could potentially breathe it in and choke on it. If they're laying on their back, the same kind of thing could happen, and they could potentially die from that. So if you're ever at a party and people are drinking and somebody passes out, there are 3 things you need to do in order to save this person's life. Number 1, lay them on their side. Now, somebody who passes out is probably going to either fall onto their back or onto their front. Lay them on their side, put their arm underneath their head like this, put their back up against a wall, put a pillow in front of them, something so that they can't roll forwards or back. Now, you haven't quite saved their lives just yet, but you have done them a great service. What is thing number 2?
You need to call 911.
Yeah.
Now, when you go to this party and everybody's underage drinking, you scream, I gotta call 911! Jeremy passed out!
They're not going to be like, tell them to bring pizza.
Yeah, right? So everybody's going to scream no, but trust me on this. It's so much better to get in trouble for drinking than it is to have a dead person at your house.
Right. And even if it's not your party, you're just also in attendance, you can still get in trouble for somebody dying at that party. And then check the laws in your state, which is a fun thing kids love to do, because there's something called the Good Samaritan Law, where if you call 911 to save somebody's life, you will not get in trouble for underage drinking. Now, you'll still get in trouble with mom and dad or whoever takes care of you, and that is a bummer. But again, it's better to deal with those kind of consequences than to have somebody die, which is really sad. And then the third thing is you need to make sure that they are breathing. So when you call 911, they're going to ask if the person's in a safe location. They're going to ask, exactly what happened. They're going to ask, are they breathing? And if you know these numbers, it can be great. They should be breathing 12 to 15 times a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't paying attention. What did you say?
12 to 15 times a minute.
One more time.
12 to 15 times a minute.
Give me 12 to 15 times a minute.
12 to 15 times. 12 to 15 times. 12 to 15 times.
We'll work on that song.
Yeah, we've never done either of those songs before.
12 to 15 times a minute. Now, you don't have to know that, but it'd be kind of nice if you did know that. So all you have to do is see how long they breathe for 15 seconds and then times that times 4. If you don't have that, that's completely fine. But Yeah, it's just nice to know because if they're breathing faster, they may have something else that's causing their heart to race.
Yeah.
Or if they're breathing slower, they may have something blocking their airway, and so that's good to know. Like, hey, when EMT gets here, they're breathing super slow.
Right.
So they'll figure
and
that
so
really
then
fast.
they can help them quicker.
Yeah.
So, all right, we're going to take some questions now.
I'll read the questions and we'll see who wants to answer. And question number 1, why is the drinking age 21?
Ah, that is great. So when the drinking age in certain states was lower, it kind of had to do with traffic laws, actually, a little bit. But then states started to change their drinking laws. And what's crazy is things like going to the Army is kind of based on, the age of 18 being the age of adulthood, stuff like that. But the age of 21 for drinking is the only one of those that is actually based on science. So what scientists have discovered is the age of 21 is right around when your brain is going to be close to being fully formed. So it's going to be a lot more difficult for you to become an alcoholic after the age of 21. Now, the best age would be 25.
Right.
But what they found is if they make the age of drinking 25, people will start drinking earlier. So 21 is like, if you start drinking at 21, you probably won't ever become an alcoholic in your life.
Right.
If you start drinking before 21, chances of becoming an alcoholic go way up.
Way up. What's worse for you, beer, wine, or hard alcohol? I guess hard alcohol would be like whiskey.
Yeah, whiskey, tequila, any of those liquors.
One can of beer, 1 glass of wine, or 1 shot of tequila, and that's why they're all different sizes, have the same amount of alcohol in them. So if somebody were to drink like a beer can size of tequila, that'd be way too much alcohol inside your system. So 1 can of beer, 1 glass of wine, and 1 shot of tequila, and I know it seems kind of weird, all have the same amount of alcohol inside them.
So when people say like a drink, that's actually a unit of measurement. Is you can measure things in like 1 drink kind of thing. Yeah. Okay, what's the next one?
Next one is, how do I help a friend, or what can I do to help a friend who may be drinking?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Yes.
Yeah, that's always a tough situation to be in. I know I had that situation a lot in high school because I never drank in high school or until I was 21, and I had friends who did. One important thing to know is not to nag them.
No, don't do that.
Don't try to be their parent, because what they really need is they need somebody to kind of be there to support them, but at the same time, you need to protect yourself.
Yeah.
So,
can I give an example on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
And think about this, students. I don't know if you have a dirty room, because growing up, your room was a little messy.
It's okay. You can I'm an adult. I've changed.
Oh yeah, you
it
totally
was messy
changed.
when it was.
So when Dad would nag you, and that's all we would talk about is clean your room. Did you think inside your cute little heart at the time, I want to please my father and clean my room?
Nope.
What did you think?
Dad's a jerk.
Yeah.
Why can't he leave me alone with my room?
Yeah. And so the thing is, nagging never works.
Yeah.
And I really want to stress that.
Yeah. And then the other thing is it's really important to protect yourself. So if you're in a situation where that person is constantly pressuring you to drink and you don't feel like you can kind of resist those kinds of things, maybe it is time to get some new friends. And that is a super bummer. But you have to take care of yourself first.
Yeah. We're getting a bunch of questions, but we're going to take 2 more. Are there other animals that drink?
Oh, I love that question.
Yes, there are. Elephants will eat these peaches that fall on the ground and they get intoxicated. And one of the things that they're saying is animals that have higher intelligence have a tendency to drink. And they don't know if it's because of the memories or they want to, soften those memories or something.
Yeah.
But the only elephants that are able to eat these peaches are the older elephants.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah, what's another one?
Well, I was going to say, I know, animals who have kind of higher intelligences kind of like to change their state of being. Like even when you were a kid and you'd spin around till you get really dizzy,
Yeah.
I was watching this thing about lemurs who use these caterpillars. They bite on them and it releases like cyanide. Then they use the cyanide to rub on their fur to keep bugs from eating them. But they said that they seem to really enjoy this kind of like pest control because they'll just keep biting these, bugs and releasing this like tiny bit of cyanide into their brain, just enough to like basically get high.
Yeah. Dolphins will mess with pufferfish
Uh-huh.
and get high. Monkeys will drink alcohol. Last question, because I want to get this one. Did you guys drink alcohol growing up?
Great question. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
real quick. I came from a family that was crazy with drugs and alcohol, so I stayed completely away from it. But yeah, I've never been fall down kind of drunk, but I've had a couple beers in my life and stuff.
Yeah, I never drank before I was 21. So yeah, we've basically lived our whole lives completely drug free.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Did you want to add something?
I was just going to say, if you guys want more information
That's right.
or you want to get in contact with us, there's a bunch of ways you can do that. Google Ray Lozano, TikTok, just say Ray. We just post a bunch of fun videos. Instagram, Ray Lozano Speaks. YouTube, RL4DFY, as in Ray Lozano for Drug Free Youth. And then you can also email us at admin@raylozano.com.
Right, so keep posting your questions, and they will come to us, and we will be able to get all that information to you. So be able to sure to do that. And hey, there's a new cord right here. What does this do?
No,